Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
Okay, we are back. Welcome back, everyone, to Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching Radio. Today we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, talking about your real estate survival plan. And really what this is a plan that's designed to give you immediate action, to get immediate results for those of you who need to make immediate money. And I'm assuming that's, more or less all of you. So, it's interesting, Julie, I know you're on air with me, that, by the way, everyone, welcome my lovely wife, Julie Harris, to today's radio show. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
Good. Well, you had to think about what I was saying. You're not my lovely wife. There was a little awkward delay there.
I was compiling my coaching story for you.
Oh, you mean we didn't catch you playing with the mute button? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Maybe?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
All right.
For a second, maybe.
For a second. Okay. So Julie and I have both been on one-on-one breakthrough calls all day, and that's where we speak to one of our personal coaching clients for 30 minutes. And I have to say there is definitely a weirdness happening in the marketplace around the country that is being reinforced by the news stories I've been putting on realestateinsidernews.com. So for those of you who do not or have not had time to keep up on all the real estate news, set aside the celebrity Mickey Mouse that I put on there, because some of you like that too. Pay attention to what's really happening. There's been three real, I think, seismic events that's happened in housing this week that nobody is reporting on, which kind of is strange, scary, and bizarre at the same time. Yesterday, you had interest rates increase. That you had the builder's report hit basically a builder's confidence level. Actually, it's plummeted more than it has really any time in the recorded history. And the other thing that was really surprising is there was a spike in 17% decrease. Let me get the exact quote for you. Hold on a second. This is on the blog, so I should be able to have this memorized since I write all these stories. So new builder confidence drops. I just told you guys about that. And then you have, of course, a home affordability program where all the loan mods were helping people rationalize staying in their houses longer is really what was going on. That program expired last week. So you have all these things that are happening at the same time that really are leading me to believe that in many parts of the country there's going to be a slowdown in housing. Now, at the same time, there's certainly a pretty dramatic increase in sales and increase in activity. Like, for example, yesterday, Redfin CEO, and you guys know who Redfin is on the West Coast. They're a publicly traded company, or they're going to be publicly traded. I don't remember which. Anyway, they are a real estate brokerage, and the CEO came out and said, hey, you know what? We are seeing a fairly significant drop-off in new activity on our website, people that are interested in buying or selling real estate. Now, I appreciate him being honest, and I appreciate him giving the information as it was being presented opposed to spinning it. But there are lots of reasons to believe that what we're seeing is a slowdown. Now, he's in California. You can't blame the weather on the experience that he's having. And the other thing is yes, the weather's been especially harsh across the country, and maybe you can explain that on the fact, the builders are seeing such a reduced traffic and fewer people ordering homes. That makes sense to me. But guess what? That's also happening in states that weren't adversely affected by this horrible winter that most of the country is suffering from. So, I don't know which way to go with this, to be honest with you. It feels like there's a lot of pent-up demand. I'm hearing it from our breakthrough and our advanced coaching clients. I'm seeing it happen in the incomes that they're making and the number of homes they're listing and putting in contract. But at the same time, I'm definitely noticing that there are reasons to believe that we might have a change for the, I would say, worse happening sooner than maybe all of us are ready for. So, Julie, what are you experiencing in your coaching schedule with your clients?
Well, I see kind of a mixed bag. I think it depends on their area and their price range, and certainly some of it has to do with their skill level as well. I see the more expensive stuff slowing down, and more expensive meaning different things in different parts of the country, obviously, but a little bit stretched to the days on the market. But generally, our coaching clients are having a pretty good year.
So what are you guys seeing in your marketplace?
I think you use the word bifurcated. I think we see two different things going on. We certainly still see short sales and some REO action. The BPO clients are all super busy, so that tells you something. And yet we still have some low inventory and multiple offers in areas. So, the theme here is take what the market's willing to give you, do a killer job at it, and ask for more. But to be tuned into what is the market trying to give you, and not make assumptions. Actually know what it is. But yeah.
And we talked about that a lot yesterday and the day before on the radio show. It's critical more than probably ever that you understand what's going on in your market. And your MLS is the best tool that there, frankly, has ever been created for you to understand. Find out the days when the market's protracted. Yesterday I suggested you go ask other listing agents in your marketplace, are they seeing fewer showings on their houses or more showings? You got to do some homework here so you can better prepare yourself and also better prepare your sellers. And that gets back to really the topic of the radio show today and yesterday, so go back and listen to a replay of that one as well anytime, because really what we're focused on is always, always, always hoping for the best, of course, but then preparing for the worst. I think that everybody will agree, or probably agree, that if you have that mindset where you're hoping for the best and preparing for the worst, really you're kind of covering your bases, aren't you? Versus people that sort of just, I don't know, like Pollyanna, sort of go into the marketplace thinking everything's going to get perpetually better and the bad times are behind us. You really, really have to do a more thorough job of understanding the market dynamics that are at play in your individual market. And don't be surprised if it's really confusing and conflicting, because, frankly, it is confusing and conflicting. I mean, how can you have, for example, in Las Vegas, something like 43% of all the homeowners with a mortgage still underwater, but at the same time, Las Vegas had nearly 30% home appreciation last year? Well, that obviously happened because there were more buyers than there were sellers, and it drove up, prices because the demand was so high. But at the same time, you have that many people that are in default that aren't making mortgage payments it just doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
And I haven't, those of you who are really, really hot, high-end markets where your average sale prices are $1, $2, $3, $20 million, oh, that doesn't affect me. We don't have any kind of market bifurcation. What the heck are you guys talking about? I'm going to go back to updating Farmville. Well, guess what? Look at Manhattan, one of the best markets in the country, right? That's what we think.
You think.
Now go into property records and find out how many of those homeowners, those condo owners, those apartment owners, whatever you want to call them, are in default. It's staggering. So in Manhattan, guys, I'm not talking about one of the boroughs. I'm talking about in Manhattan. Yes, where all the rich people live. Upper East Side, Upper West Side. Do your homework. Find out how many of those people are in default. That is the true indicator of what's to come. This is like your weather forecast is knowing the pre-foreclosures in your marketplace. If you don't take the time to do this type of work, honestly, you're not going to do a very good job, A, as a business person, B, as a salesperson, and honestly, you're going to be doing a terrible job as a realtor advising your clients. So just keep all these things in mind. So, Julie Harris, share with us one of your coaching stories, something that happened in your schedule today.
Sure. This is from Southern California, and this is an agent that's been around a long time, knows a ton of scripts, actually has taken the time to learn them, memorize to some extent, certainly internalize, and I can put him on the spot. In fact, he was quite under the weather today, and he still really has his head screwed on straight with his scripts. Now, that said, some of his scripts are updated and some of them are not. His question is, what happens when I am in hot pursuit? In this case, it was for sale by owner that was over $2 million in Newport Beach. Nice, worth going after, certainly. Okay, and his other example was it was like 1.7 in Irvine. So this is, stuff that's certainly worthy of going after, and he has conquered for sale by owners in the past. His question is, what happens when I use the scripts that always work for me and I'm not getting a response? I don't seem to be able to close them. And we've been doing a lot of role play. He's one of my newer clients, so I've been kind of getting into his head and figuring out, what level of scripting he needs. And so we role played a little bit, and we discovered that he is making too many statements using the same scripts over and over and not digging deep enough. So
what do you
mean?
Give us an example.
Well, a lot of my coaching, using phrases like, he said, my goal is, like for all my for sale by owners, my goal is to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the fewest hassles to you, which makes sense. That's not a bad script. But he had used that 3 or 4 times, and he said that the for sale by owner just wasn't responding to that. And I asked him, have you considered asking instead, what's the most important thing to you and your family about getting this home sold? And actually, instead of making assumptions, because, it's easy to assume that it's all about the money, right? But I remember, Tim, you and I used to ask that question. We'd get all kinds of answers. Sometimes they would say, it's more important for me to get closed on time so I can relocate than it is to get top dollar. I just want it sold yesterday.
But isn't the essence of what you're talking about, Julie, about teaching them how to ask questions and avoid first? Guys, that's really the essence of it when you get down to it. And here's a little should be common knowledge by now. Frankly, all of you that are have been coached by us for ages, you know that what I'm about to say. Avoid the personal pronoun I. Avoid anything that maybe
you should do that.
Right, exactly. Avoid anything that sounds even remotely like you're talking about yourself. That's critical.
Yeah.
Because when you find yourself saying I or talking about yourself, you've gotten out of the really effective habit of asking questions. When you ask people questions, you will get to the heart of what's important to them, and in doing so, you will ingratiate yourself to them because they are appreciative of the fact that, A, you're not talking about yourself like every other agent, and B, that you're listening to what is important to them based on how you're responding to the questions that you're asking. You see? That's the critical element when it comes to selling anything, is asking questions. It's funny. We all assume that a seller wants, for example, the best price, the FSBO, right? They want the highest price in the shortest period of time, the least amount of hassle. Well, what if the seller is not really giving much of a hoot about the highest price? He's just focused on basically selling it immediately. But you went in with the assumption that basically this guy's going to try to get every last nickel for the house, otherwise why would it be a FSBO?
And it's easy to assume that because that's what most of us would want, right? But
the reality
of it is, how do you know?
But the reality of it is he would happily sell the house for a 30% discount. I remember a listing presentation that Julie and I went on, and this house was in Colonial Hills in Worthington. I remember it well. And this house needed a ton of work. And he was a FSBO. It's a very similar situation. And I'm sure he wasn't receiving any offers from the condition of the house. And I went out there thinking that, okay, I'm going to have to help this guy clean this house out. I'm thinking about who am I going to haul as the hauler, or how am I going to explain to him that his, gallons and whatever it is, all the junk that he'd collected was just that junk. And, I walked in the house, and he goes, listen, the house was worth, I don't remember the numbers, but I think it was worth something like $140. This is not a high-end area. Now, remember, guys, this was like 15 years ago. And he said, I'd sell the house to you for half that. I just want to get the house sold because I inherited some money, and I have a place waiting for me in Florida. But had I not asked questions, had I not gone in there, assuming that his motivation was what I thought it was, then he not only wouldn't have hired me, but he wouldn't have made it so that, frankly, we got the house listed and sold in 22 seconds because of the price.
Yep.
His decision, but again, that was what was best for him. Julie, I had a conversation, was it today or yesterday? All my coaching calls kind of blend after a while. You know how that is. Where the agent, my coaching client, was telling me that they just picked up an expired on a $2 million house, and the previous agent had received an offer on the property, but the agent and the seller told my student, who's now the listing agent, told their previous agent that they wanted to accept the offer, but the previous listing agent talked them out of accepting it because they thought they could get more money. And they just summarily rejected it. Yes, wow.
Yeah, way to make it all about the agent and not about the client.
But it's like when it's like when you see these TV shows of these realtors showing properties, and they're walking in and they're giving their opinions. Hey, how about this? Shut up. Your opinion doesn't matter. It's what they think that matters.
Not your house.
It's not your house. I mean, it's just kind of funny how we forget what our jobs are, and because I'm not really completely sure why, but it gets so cloudy, it's murky. Like I'm a realtor. What does your license say? It says salesperson. That's what it says. You're supposed to sell stuff. You're not supposed to be a home inspector or an appraiser or a financial advisor. Or a home counselor. You're not supposed to be any of these things. You're a salesperson. They hired you to sell them stuff. If you think that they hired you to do anything else, you're not going to make a sale, and they'll end up – anyone who's been in the business for a long time has received calls from buyers frustrated with their current agent because their current agent isn't closing them on a property, and the current agent has, decided that they want to be friends with them, and they're, basically this long, drawn-out process whereas the buyer wanted to buy a house. And then they'll call us and they'll say, listen, this used to happen. It would probably happen once a month. But I am working with another agent. The agent hasn't been able to locate a house for me. The agent just gives me everything that's for sale on the MLS, and basically we just drive around endlessly looking at houses. I want to buy a house. Can you help me? It's because that other agent never asked any questions, that didn't have the skills to take that buyer through the process of understanding that this is how we go about searching, this is how we go about deciding, and by the way, this is how you go about buying.
Exactly.
And every single time, the people are some of the most, frankly, thankful clients at the closing because you help them accomplish a goal that the other agent, frankly, was not able to do. So,
and not just with buyers either. I remember an expired I went on where I asked, what's the most important thing about getting this home sold? And she said, just don't lie to me. I've been listed with 3 other agents who promised a price that I know I'm never going to get. Tell me the truth.
But you know what, Julie? I laughed because you know as well as I do, those other agents went into those listing presentations.
They just bought the listing.
They bought the listing, never asked the seller prior to going on the appointment what the seller thought about the house's value, which, by the way, all of our existing students, you sure as heck better be following the scripts that we give you, the survey, the questions that you're supposed to ask before you go on the listing appointment, because using our questionnaire, our pre-qualification script, you will know what the seller thinks the house is worth. Do you think that knowing what the seller thinks the house is worth before walking in the door is a huge advantage to you? Do you think you'll feel less or more stressed knowing what the seller thinks the house is worth? One less thing to stress over, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Julie, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will get right back to your points from yesterday, so please have those ready to go. Cool?
You got it. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is coaching right for you? And how can I guarantee it will work for me? Chances are you are asking yourself those questions right now. I'll answer those critical questions for you in just a moment. But first, let's be honest about something you may have always suspected. You've probably always known that the nation's top 1% of realtors, those millionaire agents you see on TV, they possess a secret knowledge that the other 99% of agents do not have. Where did they learn what they know? And more importantly, how did they learn how to put this closely guarded information into money-making action? It's simple. They have a coach. Not just any coach. The nation's mega millions, top 1% of the realtors know that in order to maintain their almost unfair advantage, that they must have their own personal coach. A proven, market-tested coach who has truly walked in their shoes. A coach who has worked with many of the nation's leading agents. At this point, you're probably ready to maybe try coaching. However, you don't want to be unfairly locked into a long-term ball and chain that coaching contracts can give you. It just makes sense that you should be able to try it before you buy it. Even more importantly, you want to have a coach who is the best of the best, not someone who is simply assigned to you or, even worse, has never sold real estate. Can you imagine? If this is you, I have something for you right now that is exactly what you have been looking for. For the next 48 hours, Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching is offering you a free coaching call. This is a real coaching call with a real Tim and Julie Harris coach. Now, while you are thinking about it, why don't you visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Once again, that is freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, let's be clear. This exclusive coaching opportunity is only available for the first 50 realtors who are stone cold serious about their real estate business and know that in order to succeed at the highest level, they must hire a coach. So don't wait any longer. Take action now and visit us again at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
Okay, we are back. And again, guys, if you want a free coaching call, just go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And I believe, Julie, you and I are on the roster for free coaching calls next week, so you guys might even be able to get into it. You might even be able to get into our schedules. So we do give preference to scheduling to existing students and those of you who are ready to become students. So just keep that in mind, and I'm sure those of you who are not yet students, you understand why we would give special treatment to those who are. So either way, free coaching calls for agents.com, and you literally can schedule your free coaching call right there on the site. You don't have to wait around for anyone to call you back or any of the rest of it. And it is not a sales call, by the way. Everyone else who's offering free coaching calls right now, you are actually getting a coaching call from a salesperson, not from an actual coach, whereas when you do that with us, you're getting a real honest-to-God coaching call. We know ultimately that if we help you accomplish your goals, financially, personally, and otherwise, that you will choose us to be your coach. And that's what we look forward to doing, and the honor of being your coach is what we strive for every single day. So, Julie, let's get to our points.
All right, you got it. So remember, the topic that we have been examining is how to never, ever, ever be broke again in real estate. And we've been talking about something that we lovingly have nicknamed our survival plan. So we have a couple of calls previously where we got through the previous points, so I'm going to start on number 9. Create a simple flyer asking other agents for referrals of their overflow buyer leads, short sale leads, relocation leads, or any other opportunities that they are too busy to handle. Distribute your flyer to all agents in your office and surrounding offices, regardless of the brokerage, but concentrate on the longer established agents, especially if they do not have a team of buyer agents. They typically are throwing away leads. I remember our own broker used to say, prospect my trash can. I don't work with everybody. So the only reason you wouldn't do this is because of ego. You don't want to ask for other agents to refer anything to you. That would be a mistake. So, you can also prospect other agents that are slightly out of your area that may be getting leads that you do handle and work with each other. So this is an easy thing that will take you maybe one afternoon to do.
That's right. Very good. That's very simple. Makes perfect sense. What's the next point, Jules?
Point number 10 is price reduce all listings by 5% every 2 weeks or 10 showings until they sell. Of course, this assumes that you have listings, and, this is a survival plan, how to never be broke again. That doesn't mean it's just for new agents. There are agents that have 20, 30, 40 listings that go through a dry spell or something weird happens, and they're sitting there with listing inventory that's not moving for some reason. So price reduce all of your listings by 5% every 2 weeks or 10 showings until they sell. Concentrate first on your most motivated sellers because they're the most likely to do the price reduction with you. General rule of thumb for agents that have a lot of listing inventory is to reduce 10% of your inventory every single week until it sells. So don't let them just sit there overpriced. How do you know if it's overpriced? It's not sold.
Well, Julie, but here's the shocker. Ready for it? Mm-hmm. Most of the agents listening in most of the, say, sand states have never had to learn how to do price reductions.
Oh, I know. It's shocking to them that we would even have this conversation.
Right. But, guys, be prepared because it's coming your way. Inevitably, it's coming your way. Existing students, that we have really four to six really great strategies for preparing a seller for a price reduction. One of which is don't call it a price reduction. Frankly, that's like fingers on a chalkboard. So, fingernails on a chalkboard is telling the seller that you need to lower their price. That's the same as saying we need to take money out of your pocket, okay? So just a little tip here, never say lower your price. Say we need to reposition the house on the market to more correctly reflect the buyer's expectations. Huh?
Great script.
You need to, okay, I guess that makes sense, Mr. Listing Agent. Let's reposition the house on the market to more correctly reflect the buyer's expectations. No one can argue with that, can they?
It gets the focus off of you. What have you done for me lately? It must be your fault, the agent. You're saying it's to correctly meet the buyer's expectations who have been looking in the market. Totally makes sense.
Right.
It's impossible to argue with that.
They can argue, but the reality of it is you need to also reinforce what you're saying by showing them the actual market data that Julie and I have been really hammering, hopefully, into all of your heads over the past, 3-4 weeks on this daily radio show. Knowing your market's data, knowing what's actually happening, knowing the truth about the little micro trends that are starting to happen. Remember, guys, you might sell in a big area like San Jose, California, but you know as well as I do, within that big market, there are micro markets, some of which sell like hotcakes. In some areas, it's maybe like 5 or 6 streets that if you get a listing contract, you literally can go to the nearest bank and cash it in because the house is going to sell so fast, right? So, and then there's other areas, even in a super hot market like San Jose, where people are like, maybe it's the traffic noise, maybe it's the who knows what, maybe it's the Walmart, well, not in San Jose necessarily, but, maybe it's the Nordstrom's that's getting built up behind the,
right.
Whatever it is. So each little community has its own little idiosyncrasies. Knowing the market gives you an unfair advantage, especially when it comes to price ranges, repositioning houses on the market to correctly reflect the buyer's expectations. The other thing you have to be really tuned into is the amount of new construction. And remember, not all new construction comes from the normal builders. A lot of new construction happens from infills or happens from old houses being torn down and new condo developments getting built. Those types of projects can really take the steam out of a resale market's potential. If all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of new inventory that's coming for sale that really makes the existing inventory seem obsolete, new homes will replace used homes in most sellers or most buyers' minds as the more preferable choice. When you're in a market like that that's in transition, you better sure as heck know it, because when you call those sellers for price adjustments, they're going to know what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, the next words out of their house is, you're fired. That's how sellers are going to react this spring, because they're going to see the shifting sand. They're going to be worried about these market changes. You have to not be fearful about telling them the truth about what's happening. Be the person that's giving it. Go to realestateinsidernews.com, guys. Just send them the links to the blog. Let them read what's actually happening. Smart for you to start doing that immediately, again, in preparation for the worst but hoping for the best. It would be very, very smart for you right now to start greasing the skids with all these sellers that there might be some price reductions on the horizon because of these changes that are happening in the real estate market. Again, as Julie just said, that moves the seller's mind away from having you be the bad guy, which is where they're going to go if you haven't done this correctly. It hasn't sold because of you. What ads are you running? What open houses are you doing? Why aren't you bringing more buyers to the house? All these types of questions that an angry seller will ask, you can mitigate those if you understand how to essentially cover yourself going in. So pay attention, existing students, ask your coach for help with all of this. So, Julie, do we have any more points on this topic, or are we going to go back to...
We have a couple of quick points, and we can...
Go for it.
I can do them in 30 seconds here. You got it.
Yes.
Number 11, get help on your pending short sales if you have pending short sales that have not closed. That's what we do. We have a class all about that. Ask for help. Number 12, print this plan and use it whenever you feel nervous about where your next check is coming from. And number 13, lather, rinse, and repeat until you have at least 3 active buyers, 3 new listings, 3 pendings, and 3 closed transactions.
That's it. And then keep on doing it. And that could be your perpetual business model, by the way. Just do it literally every 90 days, 60 to 90 days. Continue to follow this specific plan that we've laid out over the past few days, and that's your business plan. And then you won't have to fall back into the cash spurt cycle that so many agents suffer from, and you can start enjoying long-term cash flow. So tomorrow we're going to get back to our topic of how to stay, I like that even better, how to get unstuck and be motivated every day. So we'll be talking about that with you more tomorrow. And as always, if you need to get a hold of us, you can go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, or tomorrow you can call in to the show at 347-857-1195, or email your questions to questions@realestatecoachingradio.com. And at any time, any of our students, especially those of you who are in RECE, who are, the Real Estate Coaching Essentials program, the Breakthrough program, or the Advanced Coaching program, anytime you guys need Julie and I directly for any particular help, if your coach is not responding right away and you need urgent help or whatever, you always have our personal email addresses, and you guys can get those from your coach. So as the head coaches in our business, if you guys ever need urgent help, you will always have it from Julie or myself, if your coach for some reason can't get to you right away, okay? So just remember that and take advantage of that, because we're here to help you. We want to do everything in our power to make it so 2014 is by far, no questions asked, your best year ever. the best year for your finances, the best year for your personal life, the best year for your health, the best year for everything that you find important. We want to help you accomplish. That is our goals as your business coach. So thank you for listening today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at the same time. And again, if you have any questions, you can email your questions to questions@realestatecoachingradio.com.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.